So welcome everybody to our next The Athlete Mindset discussion. And this week we're going to be talking purpose. For many of us in business, the word purpose is used a lot. Is it a vision? Is it a mission? Sometimes I think the lines get blurred. But there's a lot that we can learn from both elite sport and elite business around purpose. Now with us today, we have Henry, who's the GB Cox, and Stuart, former Olympic rower and world medalist. We also have special guest Toby Lewis from Logitech.
Thank you very much, Dean. I'm Toby Lewis. I'm part of the collaboration strategy team at Logitech. It's a big part of my role is new product introduction. So we're always having to think on the new things. There's never any structured piece in place beforehand until we get to that new product being introduced. So we are always having to reinvent.
Brilliant. So looking forward to your experiences of the application of purpose in business. So Henry, let's come to you first. I mean, one of the most famous applications of purpose that we hear about in the business world is around making the boat go faster. I'd love to hear your view on that. How did all that come about, and how's that sort of sticking with you at the moment?
Thanks, Dean. Well, yeah, it's actually quite relevant in my life these days. That phrase or that question came about back in 2000 when the Great Britain Men's 8, which is what I'm part of right now, decided to try and align their behaviours. Everything they did, be it in training or be it off the water, they would try and ask themselves, will it make the boat go faster? Because they had quite a ways to make up on some of the other crews, and they made it. Lucky for me, one of the guys that was in that boat who actually stroked it, so that's the guy right at the back, he's now my coach in the GB rowing team. So I have him every day telling me what to do, and it's really great. And I think reflecting on that question and that purpose, I suppose, I think it's a great question to ask, because we're all in the team right now. We want to perform at the Olympics. We want to win the Olympics. So you could say, is our purpose to win the Olympics? I mean, it's what we want to do. But the question of will it make the boat go faster is much more process led. We can't control what the other crews are doing. We can control what we're doing, and what will help us do the best we can is to create boat speed. So I think as a purpose to choose, I think it's a great one, because it really does align behavior, it aligns people. So we try and embody that still day in, day out.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think many businesses have quite ambitious purposes that are linked towards an outcome. Many, whether you call it a vision statement or mission statement purpose, I think in business we often get confused by that. But it's often we want to be number one. We want to be the leading X, the leading Y. But actually breaking that purpose down into those day-to-day actions is something much more tangible, I guess, that everybody has influence over. Every decision you make, every minute you spend thinking about that purpose, you can influence it in some way.
Absolutely. And I think it is really an all-consuming process, this to be successful at this level. We've got to turn up to training and be good, but we've also got to think about, certainly me, I've got to think about what I'm eating. And you can get to the stage where you're holding maybe a Kinder chocolate, just like I've got here, and thinking, is this going to make the boat go fast? Maybe not. Maybe I need a treat sometimes. But no, it's a great one, and I think it kind of reflects, or it references all those classic sporting questions. We've got to control what we can control, and that is us, and it's not the people around us. And I think it really dials into that in a really strong way.
Brilliant. Yeah, nice example. Nice product placement too.
Thank you.
Chocolate bars are available. Yeah.
Yes, other chocolate bars are available. Absolutely. So Stuart, I mean, I guess from your perspective in rowing also, that we often find that purpose can be a very, very good tool when it comes to building resilience. I mean, what's your experience there?
Yeah, I think my experience of purpose, I was a rower and an athlete, and my purpose had always been, in the more removed sense of the term, Olympic gold. And once I was an injured athlete, that purpose kind of fell flat on its face. And I had to really look deep inside myself. I couldn't ask those daily questions like Henry was asking, will it make the boat go faster? Because there was no longer a boat to make go faster. And it was about kind of redefining my own purpose. And, while in that kind of in-between phase, it was just a feeling of immense loss and not knowing how to get out of this situation. I think speaking to that purpose is really, really important to resilience. My purpose as an injured athlete became, make it through this, fix the unfixable injury, and working alongside experts. That gave purpose to the people around me as well, being at the cutting edge, putting that purpose into aligning individual actions from across the team that I built around me, enabled this incredible thing to come together and actually overcome this huge hurdle and build resilience and build, faith in me and the efforts that we've put in as a team.
Yeah, that's a really nice addition, actually, isn't it? It's using purpose, so aligning individual and personal purpose with the team's purpose or the organization's purpose. That must have been a really interesting experience as well.
Yeah, I think aligning purpose, both individual and team and throughout the team, is crucial. I think in sport, normally that comes as second nature. Everyone's working in their own way to make the boat go faster. And sometimes the tensions maybe bubble to the surface and don't quite come out right. But everyone knows at the heart of it, we all have the same goal. And so in sporting teams, that's a really, really strong motivator. But taking that into something else, as an injured athlete, trying to evoke the same response in the team around me, at times was really difficult. And I think maybe, Toby has some insight on evoking that purpose inside his business teams.
I do. We've just gone through one of our biggest product launches ever. And it has involved such cross-departmental effort to actually get through. And it product teams, marketing teams, sales teams, training teams, all of the local, we've done it in all regions as well. So we've done it in the Americas, in EMEA, in Asia Pac. And, one thing that the ingredients around the purpose for us had to be really, really simple, because there were hundreds of people involved in this and they all essentially ended up with a different task. My team's task was to make sure that all of our partners were educated as quickly as possible to a certain level to be able to take those messages out into the world. But the product teams was, oh my God, running around. We need these bits of plastic to be together and that software needs to be in the right place. So there are so many different tasks that just having a really simple purpose for those times. And, let's be honest, even fun work can be tiring work. And it's exactly as you said, Stuart, it's that point where you're like, God, my energy levels are so low. How do I get onto that next bit? And just remembering, oh yeah, we're here for this reason to do that. So you don't have to engage your brain into the, why on earth am I here doing this? You just have to go, it's that there. All right, suck it up, Lewis. On you go. Your goal, it's right there. So yeah, and that simple piece meant that whenever we were walking into meetings, we didn't have to spend 20 minutes explaining to everybody else why we were there and why we were starting. We already had things aligned so that the conversation started quickly. The efficiency was so much better. Henry, how do you make the boat faster? And it goes the same with this. How do you not waste time going over the same things again? Because we've got an end date. All of these things, products, it's got an end date. Somebody's already stamped it in the book. They've spent millions of pounds on marketing and partner efforts, and we can't miss that because disappoint hundreds of people, thousands of people. So yeah, keeping it simple.
So yeah, it's interesting because I think we often underestimate just how powerful purpose can be. and how we can get really creative and innovative about how we apply it to business. It's very easy to think about purpose from an organizational perspective, but actually you can get really creative at a project perspective or a team perspective. And this came to light for me a number of years ago when we were doing a consulting piece of work. We were pitching for a client. The client, unfortunately, needed to face a 10% cost cut exercise across their business. And part of that involved making 200 people redundant. Now, that's one of those projects that nobody really wants to be involved in. But we used purpose in a really innovative and creative way there that made all the difference. We actually won the work based on the purpose that we'd created. And that came about because when I interviewed the HR director, who was the senior stakeholder and buyer, it became very clear very quickly that he cared deeply about everybody in his organization. And so having to go through this exercise was an incredibly emotional and painful thing for him as well. And it became obvious that this wasn't about a 10% cost cut exercise for him. He wanted to make sure that people left the organization with their heads held high, that they'd been treated fairly, that they knew why they'd been selected, and that we would be in a position to help them once they'd moved on. So our whole proposal was built around one word, and that word was dignity. So we promised our purpose for that piece of work was that if you left this organization, you would leave with dignity. There'd be transparency in that process. We'd help you with your CVs. We'd line you up with recruitment agencies and potential employers so that the whole process was done well and done right. And actually in our project room, we had the phrase on the wall that said delivering dignity. And I guess a strong purpose for us looking back at that also didn't just help us move forward, but also helped us in our decision making, because if what we were doing didn't deliver dignity, or in Henry's example, didn't make the boat go faster, then we just didn't do it. And so I think there's a really exciting opportunity for us in business to think about how we use purpose to drive performance. So to summarize, purpose has an incredibly powerful impact on both organizations, teams, and individuals. And I think there's a lot of space for us to get really creative in the way that we use them. When done well, they can drive resilience, they can drive ownership, creativity, they can connect people in incredible ways, so much more than just roles and responsibilities and project plans. It gives you something to get out of bed for every day, encourages you to engage differently with your colleagues. And I think there's so much that we can learn both from sport and elite business in how you apply those day to day. This has been the Athlete Mindset, developed by athletes, designed for business.